Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to Can-Am SimSport. This is the CASSCAR Roadmaster series. We're at Cleveland tonight for round 5 of this championship, and it is a night race. 62 laps under the lights here in Cleveland. Honest to goodness, quite an underutilized circuit, if we're being honest. Very challenging to learn. Pardon me. I have neglected my commentary duties this week, and I'm a little behind on my race prep. So bear with me while I map out the track. Need to find a pin. Okay. Hope everybody had a great weekend. I've been super busy. Okay. Got the Cleveland map out. And we're ready to roll in tonight's Can-Am SimSport CASSCAR race. Looking forward to this one. Because this is a deceptively challenging track, if we're being completely honest. You know, it's hard to. It doesn't look like much, right? 10 turns are all right angles, just about. You got one hairpin in there, but there's not really anything marking this track. You'll kind of see it. We'll do a track run, and you'll kind of see why this track is so tricky, but definitely going to be very interesting, to say the least. Not much in the way of markers on track to determine where we need to be and when. And pardon me while I get up some data here. Bear with me as it loads. There we go. All right. We're going to watch last week's race winner, who won in commanding fashion, I might add. Here on the streets, I guess, the airstrip of Cleveland. And hang tight as I pull up some standings. I apologize, folks. I've been so incredibly busy with my job, and I have had no time to prep properly these last 2 weeks. So, we're going to watch last week's race winner, Nikita, on track right now. As we go through the point standings, driver points are very close between our top two drivers. Nikita with 233 points in first. Joe Dirt with 230 points in second. Ian McClure taking out third with 208 points. Ben Grabo in fourth with 172 points. Mark Shine with 156 points in fifth. I believe that's Obscure Hi-Fi. Ian Arnold in sixth with 146 points. Spiky Cactus in seventh with 136 points. Flavio Barros, which I believe is CB, currently sitting eighth with 133 points, trailing just behind Spiky Cactus. Tactical Nuclear Pingu in ninth with 126 points. And Aaron C.J. Mills with 121 points takes you to the top 10. Acceptable Loss in 11th with 88 points. Dave Coors with 86 points in 12th. Evan Gromke, which I believe is Soupy. And Nikita has a bit of a spin there on track in the first turn, the hairpin there. Soupy with 79 points in 13th. Captain Ahab with 77 points in 14th. Close fight there. Something Fierce in 15th with 73 points. Dylan Ryder with 67 points in 16th. Joshua Colbreth, second place Merchant, in 17th place with 66 points. Sturhaus in 18th with 64 points. Another close fight there between those two. Waylon Crace in 19th with 55 points. And Alex Petrovsky in 20th place with 42 points. N. Levy with 36 points in 21st. For Real with 28 points in 22nd. And Ninja Rigatoni with 18 points in 23rd. Ninja Rigatoni missing a couple rounds due to a issue with the DLC, but he's back. Glad to see him out here tonight. And now we get into some of the exciting stuff. I'm not going to read down through all of these, I don't think, just kind of the exciting fights. But Team Ian still commanding the field in the team's championship with 354 points. The next closest drivers of the team, I apologize, is Grip.dll with 321 points. So there is a 33-point points deficit there. It's definitely going to be hard for these guys to close in on. Team Ian has been absolutely unstoppable. Just pure consistency from both drivers. Neither of those drivers have really been that far off of each other's pace, which really helps lock in results and makes for a very interesting championship fight. Grip.dll, as we said, 321 points in second place, and Straw Hats in third place with 307 points. From there, CBBG is trailing just behind with 305 points. Something Obscure leading quite a ways to P6 with 229 points. Qualified Immunity sits 6th place with 205 points, leading Double S Racing by just 5 points. 200 points to Double S Racing in P7. And from there, the championship fight spreads out a little bit. 10th place in the standings in the teams, 78 points to Unlimited Slip Differential. And that is followed by Team Cringy with 73 points in 11th. So there's another close fight there. But we're not here to talk numbers right now, folks. We are here to talk racing. I don't know if any of these corners have their own numbers or names or fancy, you know, Eau Rouge or the bus stop. So we're just going to wing it based on turn numbers. And we'll watch trackside as Nikita comes around. Not the fastest driver on track right now, but only just a bit slower. And you can see a little bit of that counter steer there coming out of that box section there. A lot of counter steering going on tonight, folks. It's going to be interesting with the lights out and the only way forward illuminated by track lighting, as we'll now ride on board and take a lap, courtesy of Kanzen Performance, with the leader last time out. Turn 1, a very challenging and tricky hairpin, really flat racetrack here, so off-camera is not really something you have to worry about, but the car is just wanting to step out through the kink of Turn 2, really wide straightaway. And here's what I was saying. Look at this. This is Turn 3. You have to use the brake boards as your indicator for the turns. Down through Turn 4, and then you got a short shoot, just long enough to get back up to speed just a little bit. Down through Turn 5, another short shoot into Turn 6. Turn 7 will bring us through the exit of this little, or through the back half of this boxy 7 through 7, or boxy section through 7. Or 8, that's 8, I apologize. Down the back straightaway, I believe these cones here are the entrance to pit lane. Will make a very interesting pit cycle through Turn 9 and 10. And that is a lap here at the Cleveland GP. What a racetrack. Very flat, very bumpy though. Very unique. Originally used during the kart days. Hasn't been raced on in a very long time. There were rumors circulating that we might see it back on the schedule, but seems increasingly more doubtful, as IndyCar sounds to be favoring more of a city street race instead of an outskirts race here on the old airfield. So Nikita has jumped to the top of the practice leaderboard now by a significant margin, about a half a second. Folks, drivers we want to watch right now, Ian Arnold, 112.8, and teammate Ian McClure with a 113.2. Folks, remember when we were talking at the top of the show about consistency in the performance? You can't get more consistent than these guys. Sure, lap times and pace may be a little bit off from one another, but look at where they're at on the leaderboard. That is maximizing your points. You're not leaving any gap for people to get in and take points away. This is exactly what you want to see, these two side by side in the grid and in the top 10. I mean, cannot say enough for Team Ian. There's a reason these guys are leading the team championship, and they don't show any signs of slowing down at all. So clouds are heavy here today in Cleveland. But not enough to get these guys to slow down. 7 seconds left in the practice session. A bit wide. Like I said, turn 1, deceptively challenging, folks. The Soupy, rough go out last week. Looking to turn it around this week. Truly an unfortunate weekend completely for qualified immunity, with Pingu having a disconnect there early in the race and Soupy just not having the race he was hoping for. Really looking to try to bounce back this week. Pingu currently sitting P6 in practice. And now we see Heel Toe Hero at a 112.759 and Ian Arnold with a 112.8. Again, teammates, and now only a tenth off of the pace. Not even a tenth, really half a tenth or less. Very close, those two drivers, and I think that is a great sign for the race as we start to see strategies play out this evening here in Cleveland. Soupy will be the last to cross the line, I believe. Indeed he is. And we now will begin our qualifying round. I apologize. I'm going to bounce over to Discord real quick because I don't have the stage details and I want to make sure I do. Here we go. I got stage details. See if I can get them somewhere on the screen that I can read them. Okay. I apologize. I know we've missed a couple moments of qualifying. The good news is, though, second monitor allows me to see where people are on track so I can accurately provide some very interesting commentary tonight, as the track seems to be a bit damp for qualifying. And this is interesting. Nikita will be the first driver to complete their outlap. And we will see how he fares in his first qualifying attempt. The track, very slick as now Nikita goes around. Manages to save it pretty safely there, but definitely probably not enjoying this wet weather condition, as now he's going to lose a lot of steam on his first qualifying lap. But this is the first one for time for Nikita. And I just realized you all can't hear the engines. So we're going to do something about that. Can't have NASCARs without having engines. There we go. There we go. Now let's go back to Nikita. A little bit more audio there. As I believe this will be the first flyer for Nikita. Through the S's here. Same spot that he got messed up in the last lap, and it is going to claim him again. We jump forward to Chill Blast now. The exit of turn 10 is proving to be massively challenging for drivers to get the power down. Chill Blast, no clean time posted. I believe that was a first flying lap. We'll jump back to second place Merchant. There's a flurry of cars through there. Something fears his teammate. No, I'm sorry, not his teammate. Ian Arnold with a 19.503. Second place Merchant's going to answer the top two with no time posted. So now the times start to roll down the line. We're going to go to acceptable loss for Grip DLL. Joe Dirt topping the board right now with an 18.528, and acceptable loss, no time posted. We jump to CB, Flavio Barros, with a quick 21.279 here in the rain. That is a very challenging feat to accomplish. The next driver to cross the line will be Ian McClure from Team Ian, his teammate currently sitting P2 in the leaderboard. hoping for a good race, hoping for a smooth exit to the lap, and he has managed to do so. Track conditions are a little damp, but it's good for 28.330. Not an absolute flyer, but better than nothing. This, I believe, is Nikita's outlap, but we'll see if he gets a time posted. And it was, in fact, an outlap. So we jump back up now to Something Fierce, who will cross the line. 21.621 was his best. Time gained with a 25.19, and Ian Arnold crosses the line with a 19.234, still as his best. We're going to jump now back to Captain Ahab, who is about to cross the line. Does he gain any time over the line? He does. 3 seconds gained to a 23.91. Qualifying is now complete, and folks, we've got some absolute stunning results here. Nikita with no clean time posted. Heel toe hero Ian McClure, as you might know him, currently sitting P14, as it seems Flavio Barros is back in pit lane. Ian McClure will cross the line. Can he grid up within range of his teammate and use some of that fantastic slipstream to his advantage? And he does, lining up P2, heel toe hero with an 18.652. That'll be good enough for the outside of the front row. For real, still, or Orange Hat in 14th. Flavio Barros, Something Fierce will be crossing the line here. Let's see what he's got in store for us tonight. It's good enough for 4th. Chill Blast will cross the line. Nikita manages to stick it on pole. Chill Blast with a 22.517 as his best lap. Obscure Hi-Fi taking it to P2. Qualifying results will be Nikita, Obscure Hi-Fi, Joe Dirt, and Heel Toe Hero are your first 2 rows. Ian Arnold and Something Fierce will take out row 3 in P5 and 6. Second place Merchant, Tactical Nuclear, Pingu, Yummy Soupy, and Sturhaas take you to P10 at the end of row 5. Captain Ahab, Spiky Cactus, CB, Acceptable Loss, up to 14th. Chill Blast, Orange Hat, For Real, Not Me, and Ninja Rigatoni will bring you to the end of the grid. Folks, this is going to be a very interesting race. Dry track clear, but it is 10 p.m. here in Cleveland, Ohio. What an interesting race this will be. Folks, if you're not familiar with the stage racing in NASCAR, I'm going to explain to you how this is going to work tonight. Tonight, the pits will close at the end of lap 31. You must pit by the end of lap 30. Stage points will be awarded to the drivers in the top 10 at lap 32 in the order that they go over the finish line, crossing the line at the end of lap 31. Full course yellow will fall on lap 32. Pits will open at the end of lap 33, subject to change within the voice call, and the green flag will fly at the end of lap 35. There will be an extra lap in that amount of time for them to wave by the back marking cars, so the restart is smooth for the guys who are running up front. Be very interested to see how this goes. This is something that I am monitoring personally on a personal level for the America's Racing League organization to make sure that this works, because this is something we've talked about in the Formula USA committee for safety car periods, waving by lap down cars. So we're hoping it works well here, and I'm going to monitor it and see if it does. And there will be a manual formation lap here, as Nikita will be driving the field to green. Winds at 5 kilometers an hour. You see the windsock going a little bit in the background there. A little bit windy tonight. How about Obscure Hi-Fi sticking it on the outside of the second row? And folks, again, cannot stress enough this consistency right here. Heel Toe Hero and Ian Arnold, both teammates They will now be starting on the same row together. That is not something that the folks up here in P1, 2, and 3 want to be seeing. We'll turn on the speedo and get an insight to people's fuel strategy. Nikita, Obscure Hi-Fi, everybody at the front of the field opting to run a full tank of fuel. Did anybody have the stones to run less? And look at that, Captain Ahab with 61.5 liters. That be very interesting to watch. Same here with Spiky Cactus running a lighter load. Chill Blast running a lighter load. People's fuel numbers. Ninja Rigatoni with 55 liters. Be very interesting to see how the fuel strategy plays out tonight. Sounds like we might have some undercutters here that are going to pit pre-stage break in favor of a longer final stint. Folks, I have not had an opportunity to do the math yet to see what the laps look like they take on fuel, but we will be monitoring that through the beginning of the race here. Nikita will bring him to green. And we are live and racing as we see him fan out back behind, 4 wide, and Joe Dirt with an early lunge, and second place Merchant into the back. Second place Merchant gets up to the front, but I don't believe that's how he wants to be there. And he's bowing down and allowing the field to pass. And CB with a shocking run on the outside up past Nikita, a driver that we have not seen put down such stellar performances, but manages to get around your championship leader and start to leave the pack. Nikita really good at chasing down his prey, and he's going to seem to have an opportunity to make a run here on the exit of 5, 6, or maybe 7 as it goes a little bit wide there, giving Nikita the opportunity to get on the inside, and Nikita takes it in force. Nikita now up to P2, CB down to Nikita up to P1, CB down to P2, and Heel Toe Hero up to P3 with Ian Arnold, his teammate, side by side. You know these guys are going to race, but they're going to keep it clean. So they've got the most consistency on the grid thus far. These guys putting on a show for the rest of the field. Second place Merchant relegating himself back to P17, allowing Joe Dirt to get back by. Effectively, and a self-served on-track penalty for avoidable contact. We love to see the sportsmanship here at Can-Am SimSport. What a wild start to the race that was. A 4 wide back in the second and third row. And a huge lunge from the Straw Hats driver, Joe Dirt. Just not getting the result he wanted from it, though. Is now the grid beginning to fan out just a little bit. A bit of a fight here in the mid-pack. Captain Ahab chasing down Spiky Cactus here on the straight with Soupy in tow. Second place Merchant has quite a lot of pace, so I don't see him staying in the back for long. He's already climbed himself back up to 14th, and I imagine he is going to be on a tear trying to get through this slower traffic. Tucking himself to the inside of Soupy through turn 7, down through turn 8. That is another place gain for second place Merchant after a massive incident in the beginning. Now, folks, remember, there is a forced yellow. We have a break for, we have a yellow for stage, which means if he can get himself up to the front and on the right rotation, he just might still have a chance at winning this race. We saw he had the pace. Can he make it stick as we've got a pass up ahead? Ninja Rigatoni getting passed by Acceptable Loss. The standout performance so far, running in 9th. This is a great run for Acceptable Loss this week. Not having the most incredible results so far this season, just not having falling on the right side of the strategy and getting collected in a couple of those incidents, but been pretty consistent. That's all you can ask for, and right now, consistent in the top 10. For real, chasing down Stur Haas in that number 33 Alpha and Omega machine. Can he get it done? I ride on board with Pingu. Looks like he's got a great run here on Chill Blast going down into turn 1. Nice wide entry here. Doesn't get it done, falls back into line in that number 74 machine, and will look to get it done coming through turn 1 or on the exit through the kink of turn 2. Folks, as it seems to be customary, Nikita now 5.3 seconds to the good of the rest of the field. Just driving away. But Cleveland is a strong concrete jungle, and it will test your consistency as well as your patience in Chill Blast, yielding the position to Pingu. Not sure what happened there. And that puts Tactical Nuclear Pingu into P5, closing out your top 5. For real, still chasing down acceptable loss. Spiky Cactus down to P10. Second place Merchant up to P13 and still trying to close. Joe Dirt now hot on his heels, just 2/10 behind. You gotta wonder if there's a little bit of animosity behind that visor right now. Makes a look, but it doesn't seem to stick. You wonder if Merchant will fight it too hard. Feeling a little guilty for the first corner of the race, but not yielding it too easy. He said, look, I gave you your spot back. I fell all the way down to P17, and now it's time to race as we go practically 4 wide. And Joe Dirt getting around Ninja Rigatoni and making the move now on For Real, following second place Merchant through the traffic. But For Real not giving it up just yet, as the position now falls to Joe Dirt, and second place Merchant continues his charge ahead with his eyes set on Obscure Hi-Fi, who started this race P2 and is now down to P10. Heel Toe Hero and Ian Arnold up to P2 and 3. Team Ian having a great showing tonight. CB down to P4. Ben Grabo unfortunately not able to make it this evening, so the sole driver for CBBG is CB tonight. And Flavio Barro is doing a great job of holding down that top 5 from the rest of the field. Hi-Fi starting to face the pressure, though, from second place Merchant. Merchant not weaving into turn 1, trying to make a lunge, doesn't get it done, but Joe Dirt, they're ready to capitalize, and now they're 2 wide through turn 1. Second place Merchant loses... Obscure Hi-Fi loses the position to second place Merchant, and Joe Dirt ready to sit there and capitalize, but trapped beside Hi-Fi. Now Hi-Fi is going to answer back to the P10 position, but only for a moment as second place Merchant starts to try to nose his way onto the inside of the corners, but he's starting to fall short, losing a little bit of ground, and falls back down into P10. Obscure Hi-Fi maintaining P9 and now chasing down Cactus in P8. What a fight we've got on our hands here for the final spots in the top 10. Joe Dirt all over the back bumper of second place Merchant. And he's going to have the advantageous line going through turn 7, and does manage to get it done, but Merchant switches back and answers into turn 8. Down the back straightaway, they are side by side. Joe Dirt, Spiky Cactus, second place Merchant, and Obscure Hi-Fi all trading blows right now for P8 through 11. And it's all bunched up. Cactus holding them all behind. Obscure Hi-Fi getting up to P8 and around Spiky Cactus, trying to get out of the chaos that is ensuing behind. Merchant getting around both with a beautiful move down the front straight and into turn 1. And that is position for Obscure Hi-Fi. We've got Ninja Rigatoni off and in the grass, spun. And second place Merchant now back to chasing Obscure Hi-Fi. Joe Dirt still trapped behind Spiky Cactus, but coming with a vengeance. It doesn't seem that car has suffered too terribly much in the damage side of things, because he is not losing much ground, and he is on the charge, sitting at the end of the top 10. What does he have in store? There's a little bit of a tap. Looks like everything seems to be all right there on board that machine. And we ride on board courtesy of Valley Mart. From our valley to your kitchen. Number 95 of Joe Dirt, driving for Straw Hats. Fight up ahead, starting to pick up. Acceptable loss, getting absolutely steamrolled by the cars behind. So you get to watch the fight unfold up ahead as Joe Dirt tries to put some moves down on Spiky Cactus. Acceptable loss, now getting passed by second place Merchant and Obscure Hi-Fi. Obscure Hi-Fi leading Merchant through the charge, and Merchant will go side by side with Acceptable Loss and gets around and completes the pass by the entrance to turn 6. And now P7 for second place Merchant. And big lunge from Joe Dirt on Spiky Cactus, putting him in P9 and on the charge. But Cactus checking up behind, a little bit of an unexpected break point there. And Joe Dirt clips the wall on the exit of turn 8, back straightaway. And another spin. Soupy goes around for tactical or qualified immunity. I apologize. Teammate of Tactical Nuclear Pingu. Not a good race so far for Soupy. Is now Merchant continues his parade to the front. Joe Dirt now getting past Acceptable Loss on the front straight. Who's going to have the stones to stick the throttle down through turn 1? And it is Joe Dirt on the victorious end of that battle for P7. That lap 1, turn 1 incident is not slowing him down as he begins his ascent through the field. Now up to P8. What a fight. Like, I feel like so much has happened in the last, 5 minutes. I don't even know where to start. Something Fierce also trying to chase down Captain Ahab, and for real, Cactus still not trying to let Acceptable Loss go. But folks, your front runners have left the chat. They are, everybody from P5 back is battling for the top 5. Nice move coming in to turn 9 from Something Fierce, not getting it to stick though. Down the front straight, out of turn 10. Does he have anything on the entry to the hairpin? Early on the brakes, maintaining that outside line, running it wide. And he does get around. Oh, I'm sorry, he doesn't get around. Captain Ahab putting up a great defense. It looks like we might have had a retirement. I'm not sure who that was. CB down to 14th position. I must have missed an incident there. What a fight so far tonight, and it is not done yet, as now the gap to Something Fierce and Captain Ahab has opened up a bit. We have a safety car. That might explain the retirement. It was Ninja Rigatoni. I apologize for missing that. I do believe the field is all still on the lead lap, so we don't have to worry about any sort of wave arounds. But folks, Nikita absolutely controlling the lead right now. He was 13 or 14 seconds to the good of P2. And that group was 13 to 15 seconds to the good of P5. Like, the top 4 were so far ahead of the rest of the field. Very interesting to see if anybody stops in and splashes some fuel to maybe not take any loss on the stage points. No drivers opting to pit for fuel. Provided pits are open, I genuinely do not know if they are. What a beautiful sound. Thundering V8s. Ripping through Cleveland, Ohio. Here at the airstrip. An underutilized road course. Hasn't been used since the days of kart. Lights are still on here on the safety car. Lights are off on the safety car. It will be in this lap. Nikita will be leading the field to green. And a great jump for Nikita. Beginning in... Oh, we've got an incident! We've got an incident! Second place Merchant collected by Obscure Hi-Fi, but Merchant is back and pointed the right way. Hi-Fi, however, did not fare so well. Took him much longer to get pointed the right way. Just lost it on the exit of turn 10 on the restart and spun, giving Nikita the opportunity to drive away from the field. Ian Arnold and Heel Toe Hero both still sitting pretty much neck and neck this evening. Great drive from that team. Tactical Nuclear Pingu sitting comfortably in fourth, and that gives Joe Dirt the opportunity to clear both of his opponents and break into the top 5. This guy is coming with a vengeance and hoping to reclaim all of the lost ground he had from the beginning of this race. Second place Merchant now with a lot of work to do and seemingly a chunk of damage on that number 60 Zero Edge machine. Hopefully it doesn't cost him too much time here on the racetrack as he chases down Spiky Cactus, a battle he's all too familiar with as he's already done this once this evening. Cleveland Performance engine bearings there on the side of the number 60 machine. Seems appropriate. Sturhaus, another benefactor to the incident there on the restart. Such a tricky corner is turn 10, and now Acceptable Loss making a wide exit, and he clips. And he is around. Acceptable Loss is spun. Everybody gets around pretty smoothly without any drama. And second place Merchant counts that one off as another position he doesn't have to climb back into. And Joe Dirt is on his way to the front of this field, folks. Tactical Nuclear Pingu just up ahead for P4. Don't discount the number 95 Valley Mart machine. I don't think this fight is even close to beginning. He's going to turn the heat up. As this race continues to unfold. Take a lap to ride on board your race leader and monitor the fuel performance courtesy of Kansan Performance as he crosses the line. 47.3 liters on board. Through the kink that is generously named turn 2. Into 3, through 4. Such a challenging track, folks. I know it looks like a bunch of lefts and rights, but I'm telling you, man, this track is brutal. I mean, it is all track knowledge. Once you know the track, it's easy, but there are no strong indicators about where you need to go. Crosses the line at 45.2. And your fuel analysis, courtesy of Kansas Performance, is 2.1 liters per lap from your race leader. Be a very interesting fight to the end, especially on strategy, as now Joe Dirt has gotten around Tactical Nuclear Pingu. I apologize, we missed that on our onboard fuel analysis, but he's hard charging now for Ian Arnold of Team Ian up ahead. There's blood in the water for Joe Dirt, folks. Waiting to pounce and capitalize on everything he can. Second place Merchant trying to work his way back up into the top 5 after being collected in the restart by Mark Shine of Obscure Hi-Fi. Nice run on the exit of turn 10 for both drivers. As second place Merchant trying to get something done here on his opponent. Just can't seem to find the run that he needs to get around. Captain Ahab chasing down CB. Great start from Flavio Barros, and we've seen a spin again. I believe that was something fierce. Flavio Barros had a great start, led the first, quarter of the first lap. Managed to maintain a top 5 position for a good long while until it seems there was a bit of an incident that caused him to fall down the running order. Fortunately, that safety car batched him up with everybody else and gave him a chance to start to try to work his way back up the field. A little bit of a brush of the wall there. It's going to give Captain Ahab a bit of a run on the exit of 8, I'm sorry. It's not going to be enough to get anything done. Hard cut on the curb, using every bit of it that he can. Seems like Captain Ahab is going to continue to open this gap over Flavio Barros, CB. Flavio Barros continuing to open the gap over Captain Ahab. Spiky Cactus leading Obscure Hi-Fi. Only just up ahead is second place Merchant chasing down Stur Haas, trying to make something work. I do not remember who Merchant's teammate is. It'd be Chill Blast. Currently sitting 16th place. Merchant opting to keep that center lane there and trap his opponent on the outside. Deep on the brakes into turn 1. They'll be side by side through the hairpin. Merchant will maintain a very tight and tidy inside line on the hairpin. Sturhaus running wide. Still neck and neck into turn 3. Sturhaus will have the advantage into turn 4. That's what makes passing here so tricky, folks, is they're all left to right or right to left. So if you get the outside lane on one, you have the advantage on the next turn if you can keep your pace up. And this battle's not quite concluded yet, but I think that right there might have been the closing pass. And second place Merchant up to P6. Hi-Fi still chasing down second Spiky Cactus. Goodness. I will get it out eventually. And Captain Ahab still chasing down Flavio Barros of CBBG. Folks, this gap continues to shrink. And it shrank significantly on the entrance to turn 2. A massively offensive line going through turn 1, I apologize. Through that hairpin, a ton of time was gained for the Straw Hats driver of Joe Dirt as he's now putting the pressure on Team Ian's Ian Arnold in that number 4 machine, really just waiting to find the point to lunge. Nice wide exit and a great run into turn 7. Wide on the short chute into 8. He's going to get trapped on the outside a little bit there. It's going to slow him up, so he's going to drop back into the slipstream down the back stretch on the run down to turn 9 and 10. Pops out, thinks better of it. Maybe. No, he's not. He's going to stay side by side through turn 9. Trapping Ian Arnold through turn 10. A short line for Ian Arnold, and that is going to be a position gain for Joe Dirt, but it's not quite over yet. We're 3 wide down the front straightaway. Tactical Nuclear Pingu tried to stick his nose through, and Ian Arnold back to P3. Joe Dirt P4, and Nuclear Pingu now on the chase. Taking advantage of the battle happening up ahead, trying to get something done on Joe Dirt. Ian Arnold facing a massive amount of pressure from the Straw Hats driver just behind. We just saw how quickly it can turn into a 2-driver getting by situation. Trying not to open any doors or leave any room, but it's so difficult to defend here, folks. This is such a wide track that there are so many opportune lanes that it's hard to protect any given lane. Joe Dirt really working over the competition. And if we can, I would like to ride on board P5 of Tactical Nuclear Pingu and watch this battle unfold up ahead. Because this is intense. Lights are out here at the city streets, or the city skyline of Cleveland. You saw the skyscraper there and the city lights. Very aggressive corner there from Tactical Nuclear Pingu. Joe Dirt putting all the pressure down that he can. Braking early for the entry to turn 8 to try to get a nice run on the exit. What a drive we've got, folks. This is intense. So fun to watch. Joe Dirt fighting for P3. Folks, if you're just tuning in, thank you for tuning in and welcome. You're watching Can-Am SimSport's CASSCAR Roadmaster Series, and you might be watching the pass for the bottom step of the podium. Ian Arnold trapped on the outside. Joe Dirt with a beautiful switchback Can he keep the position, though? Ian Arnold managed to answer earlier, but it looks like it might be out of reality now. Number 4 Telemetrics machine, been strong all day with teammate Ian McClure. Team Ian had a very strong qualifying effort, and so far, 2 cars still in the top 4. This may be a loss of position on track, but folks, this is critical for the team championship. That these drivers are currently sitting 2nd and 4th on track, and I believe that is job done for Joe Dirt 9. And as I was saying, folks, thank you for tuning in tonight for the Can-Am SimSport CASSCAR Roadmaster Series Round 5 Grand Prix here at the Cleveland Street Circuit, road course, whatever you want to call it. I think technically it's a street circuit, but there's no roads here other than roads for airplanes. What an interesting track and what an interesting race tonight. It has been wild to watch. From the drop of the green, 4 wide on the front straight into turn 1, lap 1. Incident punting one of our higher qualifiers back, who, by the way, has worked his way back up to P3, which I believe is better than he started, if not as good as he started. And he is right there to give race leader and championship leader Nikita a run for his money at the end of the stage break. And as a reminder, we will be seeing the yellow fly at the end of lap 31, going into 32. What a great drive. This man right here is now Spiky Cactus. Very early pit stop. One might wonder if this is for cause or if it's just a very interesting strategy call, hoping to stay out the remainder of the race. Spiky Cactus is down and away. Looks like he might have had contact with Acceptable Loss, who seems to be pretty far down the running order. Potentially damage there for I think that was the number 80 budget tire machine. Though I'm not positive. Spiky Cactus joined us last week in America's Racing League Indy 500 qualifying tool shakedown test. It was a lot of fun. And I will plug that special event here. But I'll wait until our caution lap when there's not action on track to be watching, because Obscure Hi-Fi now trying to make his comeback after a mishap at the beginning of this little stint here. Had a slide on the exit of the final corner there on the restart, costing him a massive amount of time, collecting second place Merchant in the process. Both drivers have recovered pretty well. Merchant now having to claw his way back up the grid twice and planning on, I imagine, trying to continue that trend and chase down the front runners, but it's going to be very difficult with the gap to P5 being 15 or 16 seconds. Trying to see if, here we go. There's a bit of a fight going on right here for this 10th position. I apologize, that's 8th position. 8th, 7th, and 6th, all very close together right now. Ooh, a little bit of a wiggle there from Flavio Barros. Manages to save it, though. Obscure Hi-Fi in the battle for 7th. The Orion Syndicate machine. Bear with me while I do a little bit of number crunching, folks. So drivers will need approximately 69 to 70 liters in their tank at the end of the stage break to make it on fuel. 69 to 70 liters, according to our fuel number provided by Kansas Performance earlier in the race during our fuel analysis. Folks, Joe Dirt 9 is almost there. The rocket corn machine of Ian McClure up ahead by just a half a second or so. He is storming through the field. The question is, does he box at the end of the next lap before pits close and the stage ends? Lap traffic starting to slow down your race leader and championship leader. This might very well be the revenge story of the race. We see Flavio Barros in pit lane, pre-stage break. But what we want to watch is your race leader as he crosses the line. Pits are now closed for everybody on the lead lap. Joe Dirt opting to stay out. Nobody in the top 5 opting to box before the stage break. Very interesting play for sure. Do we get anybody in the top 10? Obscure Hi-Fi will be the first driver to dive into pit lane at the stage break. He will refuse stage points, but will gain the track position at the start of stage 2. Captain Ahab also seems to forfeit the pit stop. Something fierce, omitting the stop until the break. Soupy and acceptable loss on the back foot. CB hard on the brakes into pit lane. He will be, as he's in pit lane now. For Real, and Chill Blast both choosing to yield to pit lane. And that is the rest of the drivers. Chill Blast has left the session. I don't know if that was a disconnect or a forfeit. Safety car not out yet. And now your safety car will come to the field. And we will be under stage break now. Folks, what a race we've had on our hands so far. Absolute massive drive from so many people on the grid tonight. A little bit of attrition, as to be expected on a racetrack like this. Pits will be opening at the end of this lap. I believe you will see a lot of your front runners dive into pit lane, but as a note, Obscure Hi-Fi, CB both pit before the stage break and will cycle forward on the restart. We will also have an extended safety car period. No safety car will be on track, but we will see drivers complete one more safety car lap so that our back markers can filter back to the back of the field without obstructing the restart. Pit lane is very busy tonight, folks, during this stage break. Everybody is in. Nikita overshoots the pit box, and that could be crucial to the restart. Nikita short fills and is going to maintain his position out of the box. Although I am wildly uncertain as to why it thinks he's leading. I don't believe these guys were a lap down at the stage, were they? If so, they will have absolutely gotten hosed by this stage break. They are, in fact, a lap down. Lead lap cars are diving down to the right, and back-marking drivers are going around the track at speed to try to catch up to the rest of the field. Spiky Cactus will be the first driver to bring up the tail of the wave arounds. Folks, as I was saying earlier, I am going to plug it here. I know this is Can-Am SimSport, but we all love Automobilista too, and I am an admin over at America's Racing League. I am also the curator of the Formula USA Series, and happy to announce that we are doing an Indy 500 special event in May. Mark your calendars because it's coming up. We will be doing a real Indy 500 qualifying event Tuesday, May 12th. We will be hosting a Indy 500 qualifier, fastest 4-lap average over a run. We've built a tool that will track warm-up laps, out laps, cool-down laps, and flying laps and are super excited to debut it for our Indy 500 special event. So we really, really hope to see some folks out there. If anybody here in Can-Am SimSport is interested in running that Indianapolis 500 with us, please feel free to shoot me a message. I'm happy to get you some details and some info. The date for the race is not pinned down yet, but it will be the weekend following that qualifying event, so either Saturday or Sunday, the 16th or 17th, I believe. And Nikita now bringing the field to green. Joe Dirt with a big lunge on the inside. The very move that got him plowed into it and ran lap 1, turn 1, but he manages to make it stick this time. From 4th to 2nd goes Joe Dirt. Ian Arnold and Ian McClure both on the back foot now, down to 3rd and 4th respectively. And 2nd place Merchant chasing them down from P5. What a restart. Merchant, no damage was repaired during his pit stop, or if it was, it's not showing on screen for me. And Joe Dirt now hot on the heels of championship leader Nikita. This battle will be intense for the remainder of the season. These two very close in pace and speed. And I don't see them letting each other go without a good battle. Joe Dirt trying to find an opportunity to get around Nikita. 1/10 down. Continues to move. Doesn't get it done, but he's on the rear quarter on the entry to turn 1. Does he switch back and try to stick it down into turn 3? In the slipstream. Hard into the slipstream. Wide entry to turn 3. Hoping to get an inside line on 4. Oh my, this is a good run from Joe Dirt. On championship leader Nikita. They're side by side. Joe Dirt not bowing out just yet. Hanging it on the outside. Using that body roll to snap it back to the inside. Now side by side through turn 7. Nikita having to play the wide game, and Nikita goes wide and into the grass. Joe Dirt now up to P1, and Nikita is going to have to fight back. Something Nikita's not afraid to do, folks. Pace for days in that number. I've already forgotten. 82 Kanzen Performance Machine. Nikita's not afraid to duke it back out, and now back to the lead for Nikita. Wide entry and defensive line, but Joe Dirt going up the inside and having the look to the right of your race leader. A little bit of a puff of smoke from the lockup there into turn 1. The hairpin, though, side by side through the kink and down the straight run into 3. These two battling for the top step of the podium tonight here in Cleveland. What a race we've got on our hands, folks, and doesn't seem to be slowing down anytime soon. The back and forth here at Cleveland gives and takes position, and Joe Dirt now nosing his way back up to the front. Seems to have the pass complete for now, but Nikita ready to pounce and answer. Heavy on the brakes through turn 7. A little bit of a slide and running a little wide. That's going to cost him every valuable tenth that he's losing there is going to hurt. Now 4 tenths down from your race leader, Joe Dirt, who has had an amazingly eventful race this evening. But Nikita finding some bravery on the brakes. What's going to be tricky, though, is not getting overconfident in the car here, folks. Such an easy car to disrupt. And he almost does it right there. If you saw there was a lot of counter steer as he ran wide and slid. And it is a miracle that he has not gone around on the charge to Joe Dirt. What a race we've got on our hands, folks. What a show. And massive round of applause to Joe Dirt for cycling his way back up to the front of this field. And we've got a little bit of a run wide from the drivers fighting at the front into the barriers. Ian Arnold trying to make a move on his teammate. I'm sorry, Heel Toe Hero making a move on his teammate Ian Arnold for P3 and into the grass. A big cut through the grass there. I believe he is being told to yield a position back. He does so. Second place Merchant ready to sit and capitalize, but now lap traffic starting to affect your race leaders. But Joe Dirt opening that gap to 1 second and continuing to drive away. Ian Arnold back to feeling pressure from teammate Ian McClure, who is feeling pressure from second place Merchant. Fight back here. Obscure Hi-Fi seemingly I thought was making a brilliant call on the strategy, pitting before the stage end to gain some track position, but unfortunately it seems that did not pan out the way he had hoped. Now trying to fight his way back into the top 10, Nikita cracking back into the 1 second or less delta. And second place Merchant hot on the heels of Ian McClure. What a fight back up at the front. Nikita closing that gap down rapidly in the ending stages of that last lap. Right on board the 82 machine, courtesy of Kanzen Performance, your championship leader, on the charge for P1 in tonight's event. Led most of the race with ease, but his championship rival, Joe Dirt, fought his way from incident and tragedy back to the front of this field, is now leading the race. Big lunge from Nikita, a little bit of oversteer. You can kind of feel it just in the audio of the car. You can kind of hear that throttle lifting and the car just screaming to get around. An immense amount of confidence in the braking package on that car for Nikita. But Joe Dirt once again opening that gap up little by little. And most importantly, folks, keeping it clean and smooth and consistent. Not rocking the boat too much. And trying to disrupt the balance of things. Just trying to keep it smooth and pointed the right way. And folks, I don't know what it is about the front of the field in these races. 5 seconds already. We're what, 7 laps into this stage? 5 seconds to the good. Our P1 and 2. Spiky Cactus in pit lane, presumably for some repairs. Seems to be some self-deprecation going on in the chat. All good, though. These are very challenging cars to drive. I say that to everybody in CAS that might be watching or listening back, or anybody that might be thinking of driving these cars. Folks, don't be too quick to judge, because they are a handful. I raced the mini-series with America's Racing League. They put on their NASCAR mini-series. It was mostly ovals with one road course. Great Groove Armada hosted that one. And folks, it is a challenge, man. Like, behind the wheels of these cars, on street circuits especially, they just... It's like... I can't even put to words the challenge that it is to make these things go the way you want them to go. They just always feel like they're working against you. And it definitely shows just the strengths of each driver when they can kind of find that balance, find the niche, find the pocket, and work together with the car and utilize some of its flaws as an advantage. Joe Dirt plenty good to the fuel line. Nikita should be doing pretty well as well. One moment. Nikita will be close, but he will be there on fuel. Joe Dirt, plenty of fuel on board, making him probably a little bit slower than his opponent, but doesn't seem to be stopping his performance so far. Nikita getting a nice run on the exit of turn 1. Almost getting side by side with your race leader. What an impressive drive from both of these drivers. I'll be honest, folks, I well and truly thought Nikita had this one in the bag. Wasn't sure how the strategy would pan out for Joe Dirt 9, but it seems that it has not affected him at all. That lap 1 incident, he shrugged it off, man. He put his head down. He said, I'm going after it. I still have a legitimate chance at this. The stage break's going to stack everybody back up. As long as I stay on the lead lap, I'm going to be in good shape. And, folks, Joe Dirt has done just that. Stayed on the lead lap, worked his way back through the field, conquered adversity, and now leads the race 4/10 to the good, ahead of your championship leader. I mean, absolute stellar drive. From the Valley Mart driver. "46 laps of competition complete." Across the line, Nikita with another good run down into turn 1. Just not finding the opportunity to get it done. Struggling to complete the actual pass. Doing a great job from Joe Dirt is doing a great job holding back your championship leader. Seems we've had an off in turn 1. I believe that was second place Merchant. Fortunately, well away from everybody else in the field. And no track position lost, just time. Now the gap begins to open. Between Nikita and Joe Dirt. Back to closing in on a second there for a moment. He continues to close it down. Nikita seems to be far more confident and strong in that first turn than Joe Dirt. And that could very well be the defensive line. Joe Dirt's having to take a much more aggressive defense into the hairpin to try to prevent those lunges from Nikita. Doesn't want to give too much track position. Nikita with a little bit of a wobble there. Had a bit of a moment. Managed to keep it pointed the right way. Took his foot out of it, but that cost him a couple tenths. Now he's got to turn the heat back up and try to get around. Four tenths. Down to sub 4 tenths for a brief moment there. Folks, this is where we watch it happen. Every single lap, Nikita far more deep onto the brakes here. Little puff of smoke as Joe Dirt locks up, but it kind of traps Nikita, not offering him the opportunity to get around. Just kind of wiggled the back end of that race car, and it just didn't offer much opportunity to pass. Folks, I'm calling it now. If Nikita manages to get back around, that pass will start in turn 1. He seems to be his strongest in that point. A little bit of a wide run there out of the exit of turn 8. Clipping the concrete barrier, but it's not enough to slow him down. Down to sub 3 tenths for a moment there. Into turn 9 and 10. Here comes the attack. Side by side, Joe Dirt with a wide entry. He's going to try to use the same line that Nikita used on him, but Nikita not having any of it. A little bit of a hip check there from Nikita as they're now side by side through the kink and on the run to turn 3. Nikita will have the advantage here taking that inside line, but Joe Dirt's going to inch his way forward again, taking the wide entry and switching back to the inside advantageous line. Joe Dirt back to the front, but not without a response from Nikita. Acceptable loss getting clear out of the way of this battle. What a brilliant drive from both of these drivers. The cleanliness and the respect being shown on track is immense. And what a battle. I mean, facing pressure, lap in, lap out. Joe Dirt doing a fantastic job of maintaining his composure and not losing it. Nikita staying on the sit and wait line right now. Little bit of a slide from Joe Dirt almost cost him an immense amount of time. The pressure potentially getting to your race leader. With 11 laps left, 12 laps left of competition. The pressure is starting to mount for Joe Dirt. Nikita continuing to push and trying to find every tenth he can on his championship rival. The closest driver in the standings to Nikita is the driver in front of him. Both drivers a little wide and into the wall there. It is just a matter of when. He is going to make another attempt. We just don't know when. Nikita with a good look on Joe Dirt. The amount of confidence that Nikita has on the brake pedal is incredible. Watch the ebb and the flow. Nikita starts to gain some ground here. He'll go deep on the brakes. Catch up. Do a nice cut through turn 10. Puts the pedal down and usually has a fantastic run on the approach to turn 1. This seems a little slower. Deep on the brakes again for Nikita. But managing to muscle the weight of that car around the hairpin, I believe, a little bit cleaner than Joe Dirt. Because turn 1 is where all the time seems to be gained for Nikita. Trying to get ahead of that turn in there. Clipping the corners where he can. Folks, Joe Dirt now holding your fastest lap of the race at a 1:11.860. Nikita, though, with a great run on the approach to turn 7. Not quite enough to stick the landing, but the exit of 8, he's going to have a run. Wide exit for turn 10. That is going to cost him a lot of time. Wow, we went from less than 0.3 of a second up to north of a second. Folks, it just goes to show how fast and how minor of a mistake you can make, and it costs you big. Joe Dirt able to breathe a quick sigh of relief, while the Team Ian drivers are continuing to battle each other for the final step on the podium. Nikita now almost 2 seconds down from the race leader. Merchant falling down to P6. Seemingly some damage on that machine. And folks, these two really just trying to have a good time and race a fun race. They don't really need to push each other too hard. If one gets around the other, that's great, but teammates, and for the team championship, this is huge. 3rd and 4th, still the best consistent team results we've seen all season. And I cannot understate that. It cannot be overstated, the significance of that. And there goes Spiky Cactus around. A decent save, keeping it pointed the right way. Yummy Soupy now off in turn 1. How about we go on board the Rocket Corn machine? Ready, set, crunch. Ride with Ian McClure. To see what he has in store for teammate Ian Arnold. Battle's been warming up for a couple laps here. Lap traffic of acceptable loss up ahead could prove to be a bit of a challenge for the lead lap drivers. Acceptable loss doing a good job of getting out of the way of the race leaders earlier. But he's going to snake himself in between, almost putting a pick between the two Team Ian drivers. Imagine there was a little bit of shouting in the helmet there, but massive loss of time from that unpredicted moment there for Heel Toe Hero. Nikita working his way back down to a half-second gap. .62 lap event tonight, folks. There are 6 laps remaining. 6 and like a tenth. So across the line, Joe Dirt will take us to 6 laps to go. Continuing to face pressure from championship leader Nikita. And the pressure mounts again. The question is, can he hold him off for 6 more laps? Local yellows as it looks like Spiky Cactus back in pit lane for presumably some repairs. Great head of steam from the number 82 behind on this run down the front straight. Just might see opportunity arise on the entry to 1. Saw the car kind of buck around Nikita, that is. Joe Dirt with a little bit of a slip, but not enough to create concern. But now a big lunge from Nikita. Joe Dirt closing the door on the front bumper of that 82 machine, saying, you're not going to get through that easy. We are going to duke this out. I'm going to try to run your tires to the cords. As he continues to just put up defense after defense, trapping Nikita on the outside of the entry to turn 7, not giving him where he wants to be on the entry to 8, having to bow out as to not get trapped. But Nikita is now going to have a run down the back straightaway, or the front straightaway, I apologize, on the approach to turn 9. Who bows out in the chicane first? Will it be Joe Dirt or will it be Nikita? Both drivers stubborn and bullheaded, but Nikita is going to come through victorious. Big cut through the grass. And now Joe Dirt's going to be just a little bit behind, but he's going to try to make the attack back into turn 1. Nikita's shown pace all night. Joe Dirt just has to match it and pass it for one more romp through turn 1 to get ahead, but I don't think it's going to happen. The clock's starting to tick. Can he regain the position, or will this be your race winner, Nikita? Not in the clear yet. Joe Dirt aggressive in these corners. And we've seen it all night, folks. Joe knows how to get around folks at Cleveland. He's been playing with the car and the balance all evening, but I think he's just starting to run out of pace. A little bit of a wiggle, and that's a clip with the wall. Hopefully a relatively square hit. A lot of time gained there through the 910 complex. As we approach turn 1, Joe Dirt has been very strong on the attack in turn 1. Puffs of smoke, brakes locking up ahead. And now lap traffic begins to be a factor. Side by side with the lap down car of For Real. Hoping that might have been his teammate ahead. I'm sure he was too, but it is not. A little bit close on the clip there for the corner. I expect we're going to see if he can make the pass or make an attempt. It is going to be in the next lap and a half. I don't think he's going to. I think he's going to wait until he can pounce and not have to follow it with a defense. A little bit of a lock, but he's on the heels of Nikita, fast approaching the second to last lap. This is your penultimate lap here at the Cleveland Grand Prix for Can-Am SimSport's CASSCAR Roadmaster Series. What a finale to round 5. We have got so much action this evening, and we still have 2 laps of racing to go. Nikita's not in the clear yet. Joe Dirt has been able to keep himself in the rearview mirror of the number 82 machine. But the gap begins to open in the straights. Nikita just finding the pace. Joe Dirt spent the last 25 laps or so fighting for his life, and now has to put the battle back down. Nikita almost making the same mistake as he made to let Joe Dirt by initially, and Joe Dirt's going to capitalize side by side down the front straight on the run to turn 9. We are going to have a 1-lap shootout between the 2 race leaders. Nikita bowing out of the pass. Joe Dirt lunging to the front. Now 1 second to the good with 1 lap to go at the line. Who will come out victorious in this final lap? Nikita with a big, deep on the brakes moment into turn 1. Joe Dirt still keeping him off and behind. Like I said, folks, Joe Dirt not wanting to defend longer than he has to, but he could not pass up an opportunity of your championship leader clipping the grass, slamming the door through turn 3, and keeping it tight on the inside of 4. Joe Dirt just might have this one in the bag, but the race is not over, folks. Nikita 3/10 down. This is the fight for the win. Down to the wire, every 1/10 of a second is valuable. Corners being clipped everywhere they can. Nikita on the bumper of Joe Dirt on the approach to turn 7. Down the short chute and into turn 8, we are going to have a final straightaway shootout. Nikita doing everything he can to get around. Joe Dirt blocking the lanes as best he can. Notice how he hugs that middle lane so that he can cut to the inside for the 910 complex. And firing straight through and down the front straightaway. Who will come out victorious? Nikita with a late lunge to the outside, but it's not going to be enough. Joe Dirt crosses the line in first place for tonight's Cleveland Grand Prix. What a race! I mean, what a race. Absolute cinema from tonight's race in Cleveland. The man with so much adversity faced at the beginning of the race. I mean, from the front of the field to the back of the field and to the front of the field again. Folks, I thought Nikita might have it there when he got around at the end of the race, but Joe Dirt keeping his eye on the prize and getting around the race leader. What a drive from Joe Dirt in tonight's race. And team highlight has to be, I know he didn't talk about him a lot, but Team Ian, 3rd and 4th on the grid tonight. I mean, the consistency in that team is unbelievable. Just unbelievable. And what a fantastic drive for those guys. You know, it cannot be mentioned enough, the quality that team is bringing to the grid right now. Fantastic drive for those guys. But again, hats off to Joe Dirt in the number 95 Valley Mart machine, because that was insane. Somebody says we need a post-race interview with Joe. Hey, I'll do a post-race interview with Joe. I will absolutely do a post-race interview. See if I can... See if I can pull him into a booth. That was a fantastic race, folks. I mean, just absolute blast to watch. Let me see if I can... Which Ian finished third? Was it Arnold? I think it was Ian Arnold. I think it was Ian Arnold. The winner himself is hopefully responding to my message. I wasn't even racing and my heart rate is up. Folks, that was insane. All right, so I am in the call. All right, so
hello.
Welcome. I'm going to start with Nikita because I like to get to the race winner at the end, but you put up one hell of a fight there at the end, man. I thought for the longest time you were going to have that one in the bag, and you all were front and center the whole final stint of that race. Like, that gap went 0.4, half a tenth, 0.6, 0.2. Absolute incredible drive. The attack and the defense from both of you was fantastic. But, I mean, what was your thought process in that last stint when Joe got around you?
I don't even know, because it's a difficult track to pass. It's really bumpy. It's really tough to get a handle on the car. You know, I tuned my car a lot just for controllability, you know, to be able to set consistent laps, and it was still just... I could tell from Joe as well, we were making so many mistakes just trying to navigate each other, and so I fell down a few seconds at one point. I made it back up, got back around, and I think with like 2 to go, unfortunately, I just kind of like went a little wide on sector 3. Didn't catch it in time, but it's all a blur, honestly.
Yeah. It is such a tricky track, man. The lack of track reference is what I've always struggled with at Cleveland. It comes down to track knowledge to be successful there, and such a brilliant drive. I mean, you had so much confidence on the brakes of that car. Like, when you were behind, every bit of your time gained was right there in turn one. Like you would be on the bumper in turn one, putting the pressure on for the whole first and second sector.
I do feel like that's my strength at pretty much every track. And I will say, at this track in particular, it feels like there are multiple fast grooves. Like me and Joe, we have totally different lines around this track, but somehow we're right there with each other every lap.
Yeah, that was a blast to watch from the booth. Like my heart rate is up, and I wasn't even driving. So, really awesome job. I mean, would not have expected the race to go the way it did. Honestly, you had a late a late qualifying. I was almost concerned you weren't even going to get a time. And then you just stuck it on the pole and drove away from everybody, and I thought for sure the race was set, match, done, and then we had an absolute fight at the end. So massive congrats for the second step on the podium, man. That was a hell of a drive. Absolute blast to watch.
I did get a little bit lucky with stage one there because there was that little pile up and the P2 and P3 qualifiers got caught up with it. So I just kind of ran away. But Joe had a good comeback there after getting knocked down so far.
Yes, it was incredible. But fantastic drive. Congrats on the P2, man. That was awesome.
Thanks.
I see Ian Arnold is in the chat with me.
I am. How you doing, sir?
I am doing fantastic. Great drive. I know you guys kind of had a relatively uneventful night. You know, just
I wouldn't say that.
Well, yeah. I mean, you guys were trading blows with each other, but it was pretty smooth from where I was sitting. But what I wanted to talk to you about, and I've mentioned it in the broadcast thus far, your team has been far and away the most consistently scoring team on the grid. I mean, it shows in the championship standings for the team standings. You guys are leagues ahead of everybody else. I mean, is there some communication going on between the two Ians to go, hey, you know, here's what setup's working for me, and let's see if we can capitalize here? Because tonight, I think, was a testament to how well you all have been working together. You guys were side by side all through practice, all through qualifying, all through the race. This is the tightest finishing deficit you guys have had all season.
Yeah, thanks for having me, first of all. You know, you'd be surprised to hear there's not a whole lot of coordination. Ian McClure likes his car set up much differently than I do. I like the front end to turn in. I like a loose car, and he doesn't really jive with that. So, yeah, in truth, there's not that much coordination. I think it's the mutual respect between the two of us. We've been on teams together before. We've raced with each other before. We kind of know what each other likes to do, how they race. So, you know, that plays a big part in it.
Yeah, I mean, it shows week in, week out. I mean, and tonight I think was a perfect testament to the respect point that you make, because even in that final stint there after the stage break, you know, especially at the end there, you guys were battling, but it was a respectful, close battle. Like, not that there were any non-respectful battles, but I think it was especially clear for you all because at the end of the day, you were running third and fourth. If one of you got around, it was still going to be third and fourth. So it was best to keep the team in the front versus creating some sort of catastrophic issue for the other. And I think it's just been a brilliant thing to watch through the season because there's a pretty big deficit in the finishing results with a lot of these other teams, and you guys have just been like rock solid steady within 3 or 4 places of each other all year round or all season round, and it's been a blast to watch.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, we you know, that's how I try to race. I don't make ridiculous moves, and maybe some people don't see that as a racer, but I'm more focused on consistency and keeping myself between the white lines. Yeah, and I'm ecstatic that it's showing up in the results so far. This will probably be the only time I finish ahead of McClure because I happen to jump in in the pits somehow. I got to look at the replay and figure out how I did that. But yeah, I mean, it was awesome race. I was struggling with tires the whole round. I'm sure everybody was, but it was that was fun. That was a really good race.
It certainly seemed like deep in the stint, tires became a bit of a challenge. And I'll interview Joe here in a minute, but like in the front field battle, like deep into those stints, there was a lot more wiggling and a lot more twitching that was going around, especially on the turn one attacks. You could kind of see the roll from the car starting to push it out a little bit, and everybody did a great job of catching it, but we had some instances where drivers went around on the front straight, and then we had the unfortunate incident with Hi-Fi there on the restart for the stage break, where it showcases, again, I talked about it in the pre-race, and I reiterate, such a deceptively challenging track. You know, you look at a map of Cleveland and you're like, wow, it's just a bunch of left and right turns and it's flat. But it's not. There may not be elevation, but there are bumps, and those turns they seem to come out of nowhere, and it's a challenge to build a car for there, and it's a challenge to be a driver there because you don't have a very good frame of reference of where the turns are other than the brake boards. So just massive props and great drive. You guys had a fantastic qualifying effort, and the team is doing exceptionally well so far this season. So, consistency is key, and you guys have consistently been finishing in the top 5, top 10. So massive drive and great job tonight on that third step of the podium.
Yeah, thank you very much. Really appreciate the broadcast, too. It's been awesome to watch back.
I appreciate it, man. I'm loving doing it. And now I got to get to the man of the hour who, truthfully, I was not sure was going to even be in the conversation for the night. But, Joe, you went from, I think you qualified third or fourth to
third.
Yeah, to the lead for about a tenth of a second, and then down to last, and somehow managed to not just scythe your way through the field, but to do it on merit, on pace, and still win this race with the championship leader nipping at your heels the whole time. How on earth do you do something like that, and can you repeat it?
I did it once at Le Mans. For the last champ. I think it was kind of luck. When I got hit in turn one, I didn't know I think I was going to make a comeback at all, because this track is super hard to pass, and when I was in the back of the pack, I couldn't get around anybody. I think it was like lap 19, and I think I was still like 15th or something. But once the field started to spread out, I could pick up the pace a little bit and just kind of slowly reel in. I think third is what I got to. But I had aero damage, not a ton, but a little bit. So there was no catching the Ians or Nikita. I actually meant to pit before the stage because I was going to try and get out in front of Nikita because this track's hard to pass. And then I kind of just forgot. I think this first or second lap after green flag, Nikita went wide. And he kind of just got stuck there because it's so hard to pass. And I kind of just held that, luckily, because my tires were going.
It's interesting you say that it's hard to pass. I've never raced here. I've demoed it a couple times for some series that I was putting together, but I've never actually raced here. But watching it from the booth, it's hard to complete passes, and I don't think it's particularly difficult, I wouldn't say, to get side by side with somebody, but the nature of the track being left, right, left, right, left, right, you might have the advantageous line in the first turn, but then you're on the back foot on the second turn, and I think that was super interesting to watch how you guys were switching over your lines. You had a couple beautiful passes working your way up through the field where you were able to switch from the advantageous line into the next advantageous line as you were cutting through the traffic. But what was it like? Because I've raced with a few Nikitas in my time, and whenever I get a driver that is just as fast and consistent as that, I don't know that I handle the pressure as well, but you seemed to be smooth and consistent lap in, lap out until you got deep into that tire cycle where you started to feel a little bit of grip loss. How do you keep yourself focused on the road ahead and not the championship leader in your mirrors?
Honestly, it's kind of hard, because I will get in my head a little bit. But I've been driving with Nikita for a really, really long time, so I kind of know how he's gonna drive. And like he said in his interview, we have very different lines. So like he would hard brake into every corner, but I had faster exits, so it was hard for him to actually get a run to take advantage of that. So even though I knew he had a faster pace, I kind of just like tried to, despite the tires going out, just stay consistent and just try and hold my line, and just hope that he can't find an opening. Eventually, when he did find an opening and pass me, I just pushed the car beyond what I thought it was supposed to do, in kind of a all or nothing, hope for the best kind of scenario.
Well, it was a massive entertainment from the booth. And I have to ask, when he got around you with 2 to go, did you think you were going to get him back?
No, it was panic and anger.
Yeah,
I was like, how did I let him pass, and how am I going to get him back? Because I think the first lap, he just kept driving away until we found a back marker. And then I was like, okay, I'm back up to him. I know where I'm faster, and I know where he's faster. I'm just gotta go for it. Like, cut the track as much as I can without getting penalties and just send it.
That was, I mean, brilliant. I was not convinced you had it won even when you got back around, because the gap was so narrow, especially on that back straightaway. He managed to get you kind of coming out of 8. He was right there, and I thought for sure there might be another pass. But, I mean, brilliant drive. It cannot be overstated the challenge that it is to go from last to first in general, but to go from third to last to first and do it all primarily on merit and very little pit lane strategy or stage strategy or any of that. I mean, you did it by passing cars on track, and it was an incredible thing to watch. So, I mean, brilliant drive. You've had a great drive all season, but watching that was just pure cinema. So, massive props. The first place top step of the podium tonight, absolutely deserved, and I cannot wait to see what you all bring to the next round, which I haven't even had a chance to see what it is.
Thank you. I think we're at Indianapolis.
Oh, that is a personal favorite of mine. So
I think that's going to be a struggle for a lot of people.
That is correct. It's a super tough track in these cars.
Yeah.
It looks simple, but the tires get super hot.
Yes, the Indy Road Course is a brilliant track, though, and one thing I cannot wait to see you all do is get around that quarter oval section and really stretch the legs on these machines. So, fantastic drive from all of you. Congratulations on the podium finishes. I'm out of breath, winded, and I am hoarse from the whole final stint of that race and calling it. So that is a good problem to have. Cannot wait to see what you guys bring to Indy. So
I'm going to bring crashing into a wall. Hopefully not, but we'll see.
Well, folks, I'm gonna get out of the booth, but again, congratulations to you three. Fantastic drive. Cannot wait to see what you got in store for us next week.
Thanks for doing this. Thanks for the cast.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Alrighty, everybody. That is it for tonight's Can-Am SimSport Roadmaster Series race this evening. I cannot talk highly enough of that race. That was something else. Sorry, WAC, I apologize. I don't know how to pronounce that name. I did not mean to ignore you. I was just in the middle of the interviews. Thank you so much for the love on the commentary. I really appreciate that. It's been a lot of fun to do, so I hope to continue doing it. Striking the right balance has been getting to be a challenge, but I hope to continue doing the challenge. Oh, it's Waylon. Well, welcome to the chat. We missed you on the grid tonight, but I get the not feeling well, man. You got to take care of yourself and feel good. If you don't feel good to race, then it's going to be pretty miserable. So I'm glad you tuned in. I appreciate you hanging out and watching the race and being here for the post-race interviews. That was new that I just, I'd kind of been on the fence about doing those for a little while now, and somebody pushed me over the edge, and the guys are ready to do it. So glad we got to do it. But yeah, this was freaking incredible race. I top to bottom. I mean, a 4-wide start, big incident in the beginning of the race, knocking a podium qualifier out to the end of the field, and then working his way back up and finishing on the top step of the podium in first. So sounds like we're back at Indianapolis this week, or next week. I apologize. A week from today, we'll be at Indianapolis for the road course, and that will be a fantastic race, I am sure. But for me, I will be back tomorrow. ARL's got the American Le Mans Series at Laguna Seca tomorrow night for our multi-class event, so I will be back on track tomorrow. And then, as mentioned earlier in the broadcast, we do have our America's Racing League Special Indy 500. It's the second running of our Indianapolis 500. That is coming up next month. Qualifying for that will be on Tuesday, May 12th. And it is traditional Indy 500 qualifying. So, Randy Magruder, those of you that might follow the America's Racing League side of things, has developed a program for us to track the average 4-lap qualifying speed, so we can actually do Indy 500 qualifying as they do in real life. It will track outlap, warm-ups, flying laps, and cool-downs. So May 12th will be our qualifying for the 500, and it will be raced that following the subsequent weekend. We have not pinned down the race date yet, so stay tuned for that. But if anybody in CASS is interested in running that, please feel free to give me a shout, shoot me a message. I'll get you the details that I have, and we'll be rolling right out of that and into Formula USA 2026 Season 2. There's a real good calendar in work for that, so it's already picked. The forecasts are set, tracks are set, dates are set. It is going to be a great series. The Season 1 was fantastic, and I think Season 2 is just going to pick up from that and continue to be really good. So thank you all for tuning in and hanging out. This has been a fantastic race, but I am going to go catch my breath, drink some water, and cool myself down. So hope to see you guys again tomorrow for the race. Take care, everybody, and I'll see you in the next one. Good night, guys.